Welcome to the Healthy and Wealthy and Wise podcast with global sales trainer and professional speaker, Lois Kofi. Each week, it is her goal to share inspiration and education for you to be, do, have the best health and wealth and wisdom for your life.
Well, all right. Happy Friday, everybody. This is Coach Lois, super excited and fired up for another live episode. And oh my gosh, guys, we are in for a treat today, and we're almost at 100 episodes. I can't believe it. I just checked. My 97th or 98th episode just came out this morning or last night. And so I just want to say, first of all, thank you guys to our viewers. Thank you for putting up with me over the last 6 months. I can't believe it's been 6 months, and I'm excited and fired up. If this is the first time you're watching this, whether it's live on the replay, every week, same time, same channel, I'm here with a health expert or a wealth expert or a wisdom expert, different coaches and people who have some value to give. And we've got tremendous, incredible value today with my friend, Brian Kelly. So first things first, guys, couple housekeeping items. If you are here and you catch this live or on the replay, it doesn't matter. Share this, hit the share button with your community. And we also do love interaction. We do take questions and comments from the crowd. So if you have a question or a comment, please comment below during this live session. You might be able to connect with Brian directly, and we'd love to be able to answer any questions that you have, because he's got just a vast bit of knowledge that he's going to share with us today. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Brian Kelly. I met Brian last summer, I think. I was a brand new podcaster, and someone said, "Oh my gosh, you got to be on Brian Kelly's show." And I was like, oh, wow, he's famous. And here I am coming in. I get to be on his show, and he's got so much value and so much passion, and his podcast is just so amazing. We're going to tell you guys how you can check that out later. But Brian Kelly is here in California with me. He was awarded Trainer of the Year for a company. That's how powerful of a trainer and a speaker he is. And entrepreneurs hire Brian to stand out in the marketplace and attract a steady stream of ideal clients, which is key. I'm sure he's going to talk about that today, because those clients are extremely frustrated because they can't simply figure out how to do it on their own. And so, Brian, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. I'd love for you to share with our audience your story and how you got to be so awesome in what you do.
Well, thanks, Lois. My goodness, famous, I wish. That's pretty cool. I love perception. It's such a powerful thing. It can be, and that's a whole training in its own right. But yeah, I started out in a lower middle income class. I'm not going to go from beginning to end. Trust me, don't worry. And we didn't have a whole lot of money growing up. And as a kid, I didn't know any different because I was a kid. And until a certain date when I became not a young adult, but a teenager, and I was in junior high. And I remember coming home one day, because there was this massive event coming up. It was a movie. And this is before we had social media, internet. It didn't exist yet. And so marketing was incredible. Everybody knew about it. And it was this little movie some of you may have heard of called Star Wars. And this was the first one. So this gives you, I'm 56, so we'll get that out of the way. And proud of it. Every year is a victory. And the thing is all of my friends were just a buzz, right? And you know how that goes. So I came home, Mom, Dad, can I have a ticket? And they looked down at me and said, "Sorry, son, we can't afford it." And that was the moment, because, until then I was too young to realize, but now I'm thinking, a movie ticket? We can't, I know that they don't cost that much. Right. And I thought that was kind of the breaker for me. My parents loved us. They loved us dearly. I love them back. I have nothing negative or bad to say about them. I just decided very soon after that event, because it kind of shook me. It shook me a lot, because now I had to go back to school and listen to everybody talk about the movie I didn't get to see. I didn't know what a C-3PO and an R2-D2 were. And I'm like, this is a different language. And I just said to myself, I will never have my family, when I have one, in that situation. I just vowed. And I became a corporate employee for many years. And that's how I was brought up. I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship till later in life. And thank God I found it, because I kept wondering, what is wrong with me? I don't fit in this employee space. Something's not right. And then broke free and became an entrepreneur while doing corporate work at the same time, and decided that's the route I want to take. And I've just gone headlong into it since, and done everything I can possibly can to better myself, further myself, and serve others. That's what it's all about. As an employee of another company, I couldn't serve anyone but the company, really. And as an entrepreneur, I can serve whom I want, when I want, where I want, and it's usually a good outcome that way.
I love it. I love it. How did you get to all of those things and being an expert on automation? Because I know that's a huge and very invaluable niche, because I know for me, I was face to face, belly to belly, kneecap to kneecap, and I know I was just blown away. By the time I got to be on your podcast, I had launched mine, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you were just a finely tuned machine." And I know it didn't happen overnight, and it took you some years. But how did you get into understanding and leveraging automation for and obviously for your clients?
That's interesting, because way back in college, computers were just coming out when I was going through my first year of college, and they had a computer class, and I didn't know what that was, but I heard enough about it to where I was interested and intrigued. And I've been intrigued with any form of automation my entire life, and that was like the first eye opener to say, "Oh my gosh, I can build something once, and it can repeat the process over and over and over again, and it could do it perfectly each and every time. And I only had to build it once. I'm in." And that became my career path. I became a software engineer for a couple of decades in the corporate world. And I enjoyed the concept of being able to build it once and use it many times over, and the ability to tweak it and improve it over time. And that's what I ended up doing. I just enjoy it, Lois. It was my core competency. It's something that is a God-given gift. And I love it. I love solving problems like that. And I just automate. My wife said it once. She goes, "No matter what you embark on, every new business you get involved in, you start automating the heck out of it." And I said, I do like this. And so, if you love what you do, it's not work. It's just, it's fun. It's, I love doing it, and I love making it the highest quality possible. I'm really a big stickler about quality. And that's one thing automation brings to the table, because it takes the human element farther away from it when it comes to the meticulous things that you do every day. So the spelling errors, if you make a spelling error once in automation, it'll be there every time. So get it right the first time, but then you never have to correct it again, as one tiny example. But it's a game changer for sure.
Well, I know you have a free gift regarding that, and we'll share that at the end. But I wanted to share with you guys, if you want to see an amazing example, the proof is in the pudding, right? In his automation, his show, which I am fortunate enough to be a guest on for a second time on the 26th. He just is so good about, making sure when his show is and how you do not want to miss it. He gives away vacations and trips and all of these things. You're quite the amazing performer and servant leader when it comes to that kind of stuff. So how does someone start, let's say, in this new normal, when they have been face to face, belly to belly, offline, that's business, shaking hands, kissing babies, business card collecting. How do you help them attract a steady stream of ideal clients? And if I can throw in a second question, there is what is like an ideal time frame example if someone's really wanting to have leverage and be able to sleep at night and not be working 7 days a week? Because that's what I see automation is about time freedom, guys, if you hadn't figured it out. So
yeah. What was the first question again?
How do they start from zero automation to, and I'm not talking about going from zero to hero, but just basically scaling up into automation if it's not their core competency?
Is find someone who it is their core competency and partner with them. So exchange services. So trade your core competency for theirs, your time, your resources for theirs. That would be, if you don't have that skill set, then hire somebody, pay them to do it would be the easiest way, because now you don't have to spend your time in trading. But if you find something that's mutually beneficial, by all means. That's what Lois and I are actively doing at this moment. We're joint venturing with various individuals, including each other. and it's a powerful way to do it. So if you don't have that core competency, it will take a good deal of time to learn it if it's not something you're wired to do. Let's put it that way. You can still learn it if you're not wired, but it will take that much longer, and it's not for the faint of heart. I'll tell you that. You have to be very, very patient, very meticulous, very detail oriented. And if any of those don't ring true, then definitely seek help in either of those ways. And the second question, I'm sorry, I'm like a little slow tonight today. What's going on?
No. Is there like an ideal time? Because I know, like, when I teach my list building course, I've learned to tell people, guys, this is a 6-month journey. If you go from 0 list to a list of 1,000 or whatever their number is, it takes time. It takes tools, right? So I know with you, you're a specialist in tools and like an acrobat with all of your tools. So I just want, if there's a way, a simplified way, I don't know, maybe not because you're the expert, not me. If there's a simplified way to say from 0 to whatever destination and kind of like some simple tips or steps and how to get there.
Yeah. And the thing is, there just isn't a simple, easy, shortcut way to success. I've been around the block a few times. Seen many, been talking to many successful entrepreneurs, and every one of them will tell you to a person that if you're not in it for the long haul, don't get in it. Great interview I watched and learned from and heard was from a guy named Lewis Howes, which is a very prominent name in podcasting circles and marketing. And he made a really great, he answered something really great. He was asked a similar question. How long should somebody go after this podcasting thing? They were talking about podcasting specifically, which is the audio only version. And he thought for a minute, and he looked up and he said, well, here's the thing. If that person's not committed to consistently and with full commitment, commit everything they have, all their resources and all their being into it for a full 2 years, then do not get started. That's my advice. And I thought, wow, that was perfect advice, because I was rounding the corner and hitting the 2-year mark at that moment. I'm not kidding. And that is when, right at the 2-year mark, I landed a high influencer speaker named Les Brown.
Woohoo!
Which I understand. I'm finding out, Lois, a lot of people don't know who that is, which shocks me. So look him up. He's an he's a renowned motivational speaker, one of the best on the planet, if not the best. He's 75 years old, still going strong, doing Facebook Lives every day. I was watching him this morning. And because of the system I put together with the automation and a strategy for bringing in a higher level people each and every time, it took 2 years. And I only do 1 show a week. So if you do more shows, maybe you can get there quicker. But just put that in your noggin. Make it a long-term play, not a short-term. There, to me, from my vantage point, if you're going to do it with quality, if you're going to do it with if you want a company that's going to be sustainable, there's really, in my opinion, no quick fix to any solution for doing that. If you just want to make some money, get in, get out, well, that's a whole different approach and something I just don't align with personally.
Wow. You just schooled me there, because I've been telling people 6 months on the list building journey. But when I think about it, if you're going to sell out, right, like you sold out on podcasting and hearing that, it gave you perspective, right? And you just kept going, and boom, the heavens opened up, the gates parted, and you had a Les Brown. Oh man, if you don't know him, yeah, it's probably, we're old school, Brian. That dates us a little bit. Like we grew up with Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn and Les Brown, and obviously everyone knows Tony Robbins, but in my mind, Les is kind of, I think, what maybe inspired people like Tony Robbins to be where they are today. So Rosalind, one of our guests, had a question, and it's kind of similar to what I asked you. If you said podcasting 2 years, now I'm going to throw that out there for list building. How long before can someone expect to see changes in their business through automation that you teach?
That's a great question. And I'll go back to just put the 2 years in your noggin, and you'll see changes. So I don't know what changes specifically she's asking, but you will see growth. You'll see changes. There's so many things that go with it, especially I highly recommend you do video like Lois is doing right now, because you can repurpose that, as Lois does, as I do, into an audio version of a podcast. So I call live video, the genesis point of marketing. It's the very beginning. You can't go any farther, what I say, left. You can't repurpose, say, an audio podcast into a video that is a true version of what just happened, right? If you just have the audio, you can't like fabricate the video. But with a video, you can go all the way down. You have a recorded video, recorded audio, you have transcription, and you can repurpose the bejeebers out of it and spread it far and wide and cut it up and do all sorts of great things. But changes, those occur constantly. And it's all about you stepping up, and it's about you honing your craft. You're gonna, if you've never interviewed someone in the beginning, just know that you are probably going to suck. I'm just gonna say that. Me too. But you know, you learn the trait. You just got to dive in and do it. I would recommend, if you're just starting out, to do it with trusted friends. You know, like Lois would be that kind of person for me. You know, that she would. I have her back. She has my back. You know, find a trusted friend that's in the space, entrepreneur space, whatever yours is, and get on and do your first show with them. I did it with my friend Jason Nast. He's actually on his way to visit. We're going to lock down for a weekend to work on some stuff together here, starting this evening. And he's one of my best friends in the world, and he was my very first show when I started my new version of my show. So I would do that and hone your craft and get feedback from those friends. What would you change? What was better? What did you not like? Get what they did not like. That is the key. Don't just, you know, pat you on the back and give you that sugar and think, oh, you did so great. That gets you nowhere. Get somebody you can trust to give you the honest feedback. That's the only way you will grow. But you'll see changes from day one if you just jump in. Now, what kind of changes? That's, you know, it's going to be subject to how much you're putting into it, how much you're refining, how much you're listening to the feedback and incorporating it. So that's a variable thing. So I just say, get into it, go for the long haul. And, you know, there are so many side benefits to it, Lois, aren't there? When you get to interview amazing people. I'm the most blessed person on the planet because I love what I get to do, because I get to interview people like you, and I learn so much about everything: business, life, personal, habits, disciplines. And I've implemented many of them, and I've seen my life improve as a result. So you'll see those intangible changes that come that are positive. It's like taking a fitness course with a supplement, and it's got sugar in it that's good for you. It's phenomenal.
I love it. I love using fitness analogies too, especially when you have New Year's resolutions. That's a great thing to remind people. Because if you have a goal this year to get into and discover, and it sounds like, you know, it's a journey, right? Not just the destination. It's not, you're going to be successful yesterday, right? And you've probably had many, many evolutions. I can only imagine in your process of automating. I do know that one of my questions, because I know you're like the guru of this, what are the best tools that you have found that you use personally or would recommend for people to, because I know I used your Mind Body Business show as one example, but maybe someone doesn't want to have a show that they want to automate. I know I do. But can you give some other examples along with the tools that you use or someone can use to automate?
Sure. A little clarification on what exactly is being automated. And it's not the show itself so much. Like right now, we are not automated robots. And I'm a real person. I'm not pressing a button to make myself talk. But the automation occurs in the stuff that's most arduous for a producer or someone holding a show. You're bringing on a guest. You have to onboard that guest. How do you do that in a way that takes the load off of you? Are you going to get on the phone and interview them and say, are you a fit for my show? Are you going to craft the questions for every show based on their background? There's so much. Are you going to send out manual reminders? Oh, hey, I look at my calendar and my show's coming up tomorrow. I better let them know to remind them to be on the show. Oh, and here's the link to get on the show. Oh, and the details are, there's a lot. And they always say the devil's in the details, right? And if I did not have automation, I would not do my show. End of story. Because if it's not high quality, I'm not doing it. And high quality doesn't mean just the show itself, the graphics. You have a beautiful looking backdrop. Lois, you did a great job on that. It's also the quality leading up to it, the communication quality, going back and forth with your guest experts, going back and forth with your social media platforms, announcing the upcoming show, sending out announcements and alerts to your email list about the show coming up. We're going live now. Get on. All of that. If you automate all that, just think of how you can now show up and just be the talent. It just frees you, liberates you, and now you can focus on your guest, which is what I love to do, and raise them up, lift them up, and have a better experience overall. The tools, we're going to be giving away a gift, and they will get every tool that I use. And I use these every single day in my business. And so when we get to that point, stay on, and we'll just give you a link, and you can go get every automation resource. These are like SAA, they're called SaaS, SaaS, software as a service tools, online-based, web-based tools that we use in my company constantly every day. It's running right now. It's looking at my calendar entries and determining if it's time now to trigger another message or another action to go out. I don't have to touch it because I set it up in advance. But all the tools are listed there, and yeah, they'll get it there.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Yeah, because I always like to say we want to give you some gifts that keep on giving. So I'm grateful. Please, guys, stay tuned for that free gift link at the end. So I'd love for you to maybe share about the, if you want to call it transformation, spiritual growth, freedom. Like I put the sign up here earlier. I called it automation to freedom, being able to have your time back, to be able to, like you said, you're not doing all of the things in real time. You set it, you forget it, then you can hang out with your buddies or you can do whatever. So what has automation done for you from a spiritual and maybe financial perspective?
Hang out with your buddies. What's that like? I just work. I love that.
Okay.
Well, my buddies come and we're hanging out, but it's for work and it's fun. It's fun. What it has done. So one example is a prominent businessman named Ken Wentworth. He calls himself Mr. Biz. He was one of those on the receiving end, like you were, Lois, of all the automation. He said this, and he said it with absolute seriousness. He said, it to me looked like you had 4 VAs working for you, Brian, to do all this. And so to put that in perspective, the freedom, the liberation, well, it freed me up of 4 people's efforts, and I'm just one person. Right. And think of the savings. There's cost involved putting this all together. There's cost involved acquiring the services. But look at the big picture. If you're saving the money that you would be spending on 4 VAs working on this literally full time, because if you're doing a constant show once a week, twice a week, you need that help there all the time. You're creating graphics. There's so many things that go on behind the scenes that people don't know about for every show, creating Facebook events, LinkedIn events. There's ways to just saturate the marketplace with your message. And that's the way I roll. But it's liberation in so many ways, in your time, in your mind, because you can just exhale. And you can and like I said, and now you're free to do the other things. You're free to work on your business and let your automation work in your business. Well, that's the first time I ever said that. I'm going to trademark that bad boy.
It was recorded. It was recorded for posterity. You can keep all the royalties. It's all good. I love it. I love it that you said something. I want people to let this sink in for a minute, because I have 2 virtual assistants, and depending, they're contractors, and depending on who you talk to, right? A good full-time virtual assistant, so both of mine equal 1 full-time, could run you $1,000 to $2,000 a month. Would that be a fair assessment, Brian? Would you say that sounds about right for a VA?
Yeah, it depends on where you get them and their cost, but yeah.
Right.
That sounds right.
So think about that, guys. 4 VAs times 1 to 2K, that's $4,000 to $8,000 a month that you just saved by having automation tools. And I'm guessing, Brian, you tell me, I'm guessing it doesn't cost you $4,000 to $8,000 a month to have those tools automating for you, right?
Glad you brought that up.
Mark?
Yeah, glad you brought that up, because there's that side to it. And I quantified it currently. What I'm using currently for my business costs about $5,000 a year for all the services that are involved that I use. These are a lot of different services. And there's a little secret here, Lois. I'm eyeballing another one that I had never heard of before, that may replace many of those and save even more money and bring that down maybe another couple grand. So I'm always looking for ways to enhance, increase, improve, and it will make my life easier when it's easier to integrate. But we'll see. But I'm always looking to improve. But right now, as it stands, it's about $5,000 a year to have all these automated services running 24/7.
And that's what I love about this. If you think about this again, I'm a sales coach, right? So I'm always looking at the numbers. So if it's 5K per year versus the possible 48 to 96K if you were paying those 4 full-time VAs, your net positive, guys, 43 grand to 91 grand. Plus, you're sleeping better, your life is better. And we didn't even talk about the ROI. Do you, and this is putting you on the spot, I don't know if you have, like, what is your ROI on this 5K a year automation system?
So this is interesting. I did not start my show with an intention to outright make money from my show. It was more like writing a book in that regard, where you gain authority status and it becomes your calling card. Instead of giving out your business card, you give out your book. Most people who write a book do not make money on their book. They usually spend money on the publishing and they usually don't recoup it. And that's just flat out the truth. And so I looked at this as a vehicle to get people to know, like, and trust, and just exposure for whatever I ended up doing later. At the time when I first started my live show, I was 100% in the fitness industry. For 7 years, I did an online fitness. It was called Global Fitness Club. And that was all I was doing, was enhancing. I wanted to get on stage again. This was my virtual stage, so I did that. What it ended up doing, Lois, it became, just without intention, but it became an incredible lead magnet. And the reasons I found out were the high quality nature. Here's the thing, the way you present yourself, people are going to look at that and say, well, if I end up doing business with you, no matter what it is you do, how are you going to treat me? Is it going to be with that shoddy, shaky phone quality that you're doing your live shows from? Or is it going to be the way, with a well-oiled machine and a trusted team and automation sequences behind the scene? And so that's what I was like, wow. And it became a massive lead magnet. And I'm getting requests to be on my show all the time. And I'm now having to push people away. I'm booked out through May now. And I'm opening up another day of the week because I have so many people that I want to have on my show. And it's just been a phenomenal thing. But again, it's taken me, I want to be very clear, it's taken me 2 years to get to this point. And so just be in it for the long haul. There is no quick fix, but you can do it. If I can do it, come on. I'm just like everyone else. I put on my pants both feet at a time. I'm kidding. One leg at a time. And you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it.
I love it. And you're so humble too. And you're so fun and easy to connect with. You're very relatable. And there's some people, and I'm not going to name names or anything like that, but there are some people that have a lot of ego around automation, and it can be very, very overwhelming to work with someone like at ClickFunnels or what have you. So to be able to know and like and trust and have someone like Brian, guys, in your corner, I'm going to show the link, and then I'm going to drop it in the show notes in the comments and email it out to everybody. Okay, guys. So make sure you're on my email list so you receive this, but tell us about your free offer. There's the link, guys. It's got some forward slashes, some backflips and all of that. So I'll make sure you guys get it, but tell us about that.
And just clarify, RYP stands for Reach Your Peak, just to help you out with what is that RYP thing. .im, I don't know what IM is. It was just a short extension instead of a .com, shorter. So RYP.im/Lois for those of you that are listening on podcasts, so you can get to that. And that's the website. There's no www in front of it, just ryp.im. It is, like I said earlier, that is the gift where you will get a comprehensive list of every automation resource we use. These are tools. We're talking everything from an online calendar service that most people don't know about. I see very few people using the service that we use. That was interesting. They had features. I tested lots of different services over the years, just to kind of step back just a second. I know we're hitting our time here, is that I've tested and tried so many over the years. I'm not the end all be all. There are far more out there than I've ever even know about. So I'm not going to claim that. But for the ones I have, I found the best of the best, ones that worked, one that had stellar support, that if I had an issue, they weren't going to take a week to get back to me. I need support and I need it now. That worked. That actually worked. When you send an email, it got delivered. Like, there's other services, I won't name them either, that don't work. There's these all-in-one services that just, they're horrible. And so I really worked hard. And like I just said, I'm looking at refining this list that you're about to receive. I'm not guaranteeing I will. It's the one I'm sticking with for now. And you will get the entire list. I forget how many are on there, It's 10 or 15 tools and resources we use at my company, Reach Your Peak. Like I said, every single day they're being hit and used on, like, as we're talking, they're crunching away and doing the work of 4 VAs on my behalf. And that's my gift to you. You get the list, you know what resources work in what type of situations, what autoresponder is the best from our vantage point. I'm not saying this that I know that it's the best in the world. I'm not saying that, but it's the best for us. Calendar system, online form generator. There's so many things in there. So I hope you take advantage of that and dive in and start using some of those resources because they're rock solid.
That's awesome. And that's what I was going to say is you vetted them. They're tried and true for you. And guys, he's the real deal. It blown me away with his automation when I was on his show. And Rosalind asked a question, does the same 2 years that you mentioned apply to interviewing on podcasts? I would say you sort of answered that when the gentleman who said about podcasting, 2 years, I think anyone to get really good at speaking and interviewing. Would you say, I mean, I'm still new, guys. I'm only 6-ish months in, and my 100th episode is probably next week or the week after. But do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, I would say 2 years would be a worst case scenario. Let's put it that way. If you already have talent for interviewing, if you already have maybe connections, if you're doing more than one a week, you can certainly reduce that time. I just wanted to set the playing field, not just from myself, but another guy who knows what he's talking about, Lewis Howes. I always do that. Lewis.
I was like, got
it. And, it's a good measuring stick to put in front of you to realize, and if you put it in your mind that you're in it to win it for 2 years, you will succeed. I mean, if you just keep at it, you keep refining, keep improving, because believe me, when you first start, if you've already started and you've got something going, it definitely won't take you 2 years. If you keep going and you keep upping your game and you find the right guests are key. And because you can leverage every guest that comes on your show, some will help promote, some just flat out won't. And here's a secret, most won't. They don't have time. It's difficult. They've got their own thing to do. And, here you are providing your time and value to give them more exposure. And you're thinking, man, they owe me. They should promote the heck out of this thing. It just doesn't work that way. But if you message things correctly and upfront after the show is over, I have automations that go back and email them, asking them, hey, I loved it. I hope you got value. Would you please just click on this button and share it on Facebook? All you gotta do is click a button. Make everything simple for them. There's all these strategies that I've refined and tweaked over the years that have continually improved and raised the bar of the exposure rate of the show before, during, and after. And you just want to keep after it. And if you make this kind of your main marketing hub, and that's the way you concentrate on it, it will reap rewards. Now, does everybody have 2 years to work on something before they start seeing income? I get it. Nope. And so you may want to scale by bringing in help, actual human beings, and start teaching them and throwing these things over the fence to them. But each person is different. Each business is different. But yeah, 2 years, I would say, if you're really after it, if you're committed, that's a worst case scenario, but it is a realistic one because I'm a living proof of it.
Yeah, it's not just a hobby for him and myself. You gotta look at it. I know there is a stat out there somewhere between, I forget, north of 70 to 80% of podcasters quit after 3 months. So they didn't have the right, in my opinion, my experience, they just didn't have the right perspective or mindset. It's you got to be in it to win it. Well, thank you guys. We have gone a little bit over because I knew we would, because Brian gives that much value and you guys had great questions. That's the deal, guys. Normally I do 30-minute shows, but if you come here, you show up live and you ask good questions, we're going to stay longer. So I already gave you the free gift from Brian. I want to do a couple of quick announcements. Then I'm going to turn it back to you for our final question of the show, Brian, that I ask of all of my guests to close it out. This next week, guys, talking about what Brian was talking about, I was fortunate last year. I had 0 email list and I built it to 4,000 over the course of 2020. And now my whole world has changed and opportunities have presented themselves with people who want to joint venture and do affiliate partnerships and opportunities like what Brian and I are now working on as well. So if you want to build that asset, if you want to learn how to build an email list either from scratch or dust off that list and rejuvenate it, get it going so you can build 6 to 7 figures over the course of its lifetime, over your lifetime, check out my sneak peek listbuild.now.site website. I'll also be emailing that out. I have 2 free hours of coaching next week to support and do a high level 30,000 foot overview of being able to start that journey. And like Brian said, I'm going to borrow that, Brian. It really is more of a 2-year journey. However, I went from 0 to hero in 6 months. And so if you're really, really serious and committed about making 2021 your best and most profitable year ever with email campaigns and email list building, I would love to be able to have you join that class. Space is limited. Check out that link. And of course, if you want to get in touch with Brian and also see me on it's January 26th, I believe, episode, check out the mindbodybusinessshow.com and to also check out his automation, because it's the real deal. So Brian, I'm going to close us out with my question of the day. I think you did this to me on your show too. And I love it when there's like a closing question that everybody gets to answer. And I love to learn from you and see what you think about and say about when you hear the phrase, Brian, healthy and wealthy and wise, what does that mean for you?
Healthy means mentally and physically operating at a peak level of performance. I always say the mind and body are a team. More importantly, the mind and body are your team. Any team member doesn't work at the top level of peak performance, then the team as a whole suffers. Wealthy is more than money. It includes money to me, because money can assist in buying liberation, freedom, to help you to do what you want when you want, to serve more people. But wealthy is being very wealthy and rich in your relationships with the people that you love, with the people that you work with people like Lois that are friendships and joint venture partners that are integrity-based and high character. Wise is being 56 years old. Wise is learning from others, putting your ego out of the way so that you can have an open mind and learn more. My mentor literally could be my son by age, and it doesn't matter to me. Race, gender, age, none of that ever has mattered to me in my entire life. The only thing that matters is results. And I'm talking about friendship, including in that, not just business results and camaraderie and everything. So, yeah, I think that's how I would sum up healthy, wealthy, and wise. I like that question. That's a good one, Lois.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Kind of like what you did for me. I always like to spring that on people and not give it to you in advance, because it's really about what comes from your heart and your mind. Your body-mind connection. It's so beautiful. So guys, if you saw value today, which I know we did because we went over, please hit the share button and comment below if you have other questions. You can find Brian inside of my Healthy and Wealthy and Wise Facebook community. And then, of course, if you haven't already, go to healthyandwealthyandwise.com with the ends in the middle, not the word and, the ends. And subscribe and check out past guests and future guests. Speaking of which, next week, we have my friend Michelle Mercier. She's an amazing woman who's just going to wow you. We have so much in common. She's actually potentially could be my 100th show. Stay tuned on that. I'm really excited to round the corner into 100 and beyond and be just like my friend Brian Kelly when I grow up, and be able to continue to grow this community. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. Until next time, here's to your best health, your best wealth, and your best wisdom. See you next week. Hey, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, refer a friend, and please drop me a rating or a review. If you do that, I'll reward you with a free 20-minute free coaching session on crafting your journey to your best self. Reach out to me at lois@loiscoffee.com to claim your 20-minute slot. Until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.